Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Pint. Today we have Rupture Fresh Grind Ale from Odell Brewing. It is an American Pale Ale, 6% alcohol by volume, 36 IBUs. Untapped, it gets a 3.87 rating. The description for the beer reads, Rupture was born out of an obsession with getting the most out of each and every hop. In fact, we built a machine in our brewery to incorporate a unique fresh grind process. By grinding the whole hop, we rupture the lupulin inside, releasing the oil that gives the beer its flavor, and what we grind that day, we use that day, leaving you a beer that's fresh, aromatic, with an unparalleled, bright, hoppy character. So I've got one can of this, and I'm drinking this now because it has just a little less than a month before their Best By date. I'm using a perfect pint glass. I personally don't feel like I have a great glass for a pale ale, but I don't know if there is one. I mean, I'm sure you could either use a pint glass or an IPA glass. It's not going to fit all in here. I do have pint glasses I like that are not perfect pint. I have one from Nebraska Brewing that's just a basic pint. I also have one from Tallgrass. It has a little bit of a bulb towards the top, but not much. Well, let's see. Sometimes the description is different on the can. I think I can sneak it all in. Yeah, we got it. Let's slide this over. Nope, exactly the same. I don't remember if they were one of the breweries I went to many a year ago when I went to Colorado. I don't remember. I want to say yes, but I know I wanted to go to Left Hand really bad, and I didn't get to. One that I really wanted to go to was Boulder. Hey, buddy. Not a good itch. Artemis has joined us. He is huge. This thing here is 4 months old. And here's your root. I'm not going to say the C word. Are you 21 years of age or older? I'm not, but we'll say yes. Independent since 1989. Hey, that was the year I was born. I don't really care to see the beer. I would like to drink the beer. I don't think I went to Odell. Oh, coming in August, Cloudcatcher Milkshake IPA. I assume that's a an East Coast IPA. I'm excited about that. Sunny Rain. I do want to try that a lot. Yeah, I really don't think I actually went to their brewery. Too bad. Too bad for me. Actually look at images. This is the best way. Oh, that's pretty. Maybe I did. So that looks familiar. But anyways, that does not matter. We've got a beautiful looking beer right here in front of us. Yellow in color, fair amount of bubbles. It originally had about 2.5 fingers of head. Not real tight lacing. It's gone away fairly fast, but not too fast, which is good, especially for the style. by what the description read, I wasn't expecting like anything sort of a hot bomb, but I was expecting more than 36 IBUs. Let's see what's on the nose. Definitely getting a flowery, hoppy aroma. Oh, those two love to fight. Not in a bad way, like in a playful way. A flowery aroma from the hops. But that's really it. I don't even get a... No, I get no sort of bitterness. Words. I get no sort of bitterness out of this beer in the nose. No, nothing else. Nothing else. I wish I smelled something else, but it just has a flowery aroma that comes from the hops. Right up front, you get that almost sweet, flowery taste. It's a sweetness that is actually coming from the hops. I love that. Then that's immediately bursts in your mouth with that sweetness. And then, I think it's in the middle. You get a burst of bitterness, but... Hi, Arya. She's been a little C-word lately. She's terrified her brother. And now anytime she gets too close to him, he cowers. And she kind of uses that to her advantage because right now she's bigger than him. And she's not used to being able to pick on someone because she's tiny. You're tiny, aren't you? Yeah, you are tiny. I had to get after her earlier for that. And he's going to be a huge cat. I mean, he's damn near that size at 4 months. Sorry. So that hot bitterness comes in, I believe it's in the middle. It's on the front, but it's not exactly immediate. It's sharp, like you get that burst of sweetness, and then immediately you get a burst of sharp bitterness that subsides, and they balance out. And so in the middle and on the end, you can get both the sweetness and the bitterness. It's a great tasting beer. I can see why he gets a 3.87. What in the hell is today? Today is Thursday. I uploaded the introduction video on Monday. I've got a lot of videos lined up. Now, they're not necessarily all going to go up in order that they were filmed. But I think for a little while it's going to be that way because I want to get the awkward videos out of the way where I wasn't quite comfortable yet with putting my opinion out there, talking in front of the camera, because that introduction video was the first time I had ever talked in front of a camera. My videos, like I've noticed going through, I know as of later, there's nothing, no like real issues. Early on, there were issues where I would have long pauses and go, what do I say next? You know, I'd say out loud and think, what do I say now? But I've noticed it's gotten a lot smoother, and so I kind of want to get those awkward ones out of the way, and then, excuse me, and then really start pushing the channel. Which, for how new it is, it ain't doing bad at all. But yeah, I think part of what I'm tasting for that, I don't know if like the inside of the hop, that oil, is what's giving it that sweetness. I'm not exactly sure. Or, you know, if that's what, despite it being only 36 IBUs, is giving it the slight bitterness. So you know how these go. This is what I do. I give you the beer right away, what it is, but I hold off giving my rating on it and my my thoughts on it. You know, if I'll ever buy this beer again. And there are times where I'll say, yeah, I'll buy it again. With genuinely meaning I would definitely buy it again. It might not happen because there is so much out there. But I wouldn't necessarily steer clear of it. I usually, you know, preface it with that as well. So, you know, I won't steer clear of it, but there's no guarantee that I will buy it. I won't be, or I'll mostly say like, oh, I won't be afraid to buy this again. What are you doing, Artemis? Laying on your mother's bag? Okay. But sometimes I'll just say, yeah, I'll buy it again. And you know, honestly, it's with the intent that, yeah, I would buy it again. But, you know, we'll take this, for example. I'm not going to say yay or nay to whether I'll ever buy it again. But, you know, if this pale ale is sitting on the shelf, and there's a pale ale I've never had before sitting on the shelf as well, and I've heard about it, or even if I haven't even heard about it, hell, let's say it's something I've never even heard of, I am more likely to pick up the other one so that I could have tried it, despite knowing that I like this. Now, with that said, with things like Surly's Coffee Bender, I try to usually have that in the fridge. I actually just drank my last one earlier today, but I don't know if I'm going to pick it up again for a while either. But yeah, I'll say, yeah, I'll buy a 6-pack of this in the future, or I'll buy it again in the future. And genuinely, it actually might not happen, but it's not with the intent of, oh yeah, I'll say that, but then definitely not do it. It's with, yeah, it could happen. Not a definite yes or a definite no, with a, yeah, it could happen. It might not, but it could. Because it was good enough to buy again. I like, it was good enough that I would be willing to spend that money on the beer. If the opportunity arises, it's the right time, and there's nothing better, no other option, I'll do it. Sticking to the glass. So, what I wanted to do in this video, I gotta cut out for. I said in the last video that in this one we were going to be reviewing this Stephen King Pet Semetery. As you can see, no longer a bookmark in there. So, let's go over it. I started reading this before I saw the movie, and then I watched the movie. Uh, the movie is very similar to the book. Uh, but that's honestly one time where I would say I enjoy the movie adaptation better. There are things in the book I would have liked to have seen done in the movie the same way and not differently. But in general, I would say I like that as a movie better than I like the book. It's 30 some years old. I don't feel bad if I spoil it for anybody. My big gripe with the book was, and I've mentioned this before, how thick that is, and it's not that big of a book. It could have been, say, that big, just that half. No, right on a chapter. But there's 50 million chapters, so. But there was so much filler, so much stuff I didn't care about, and I just couldn't get into the characters. What I hear is he's this brilliant writer, everything. And that's the first exposure I've had to him. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad book, but when you're told, he's a brilliant writer, he writes brilliant characters, brilliant story, he gets so much detail in, and I love detail. I did not love the detail in this. And maybe I was overly hyped about Stephen King, and it made the book fall short. I got 10 other examples to read that I've purchased, so we'll find out if I get a different opinion about him. But the reasoning is because, yes, all that boring, mundane stuff is in the movie, but it just translates to a movie better, in my opinion. I didn't care to read the boring stuff of, we have a sentence about this day, and a sentence about the next day, and about the next day, and then it goes to 3 months later. What was the last paragraph, pretty much? Why was that a thing that needed to be there? It told us nothing. I will say this. There are not many writers that could have the balls to tell you what's coming up, and that's getting cut out. There's not many writers that could have the balls to tell you what's coming up before it happens. And certainly, most writers, if they did that, you wouldn't finish reading the book. You'd be like, well, I already know what happens. I feel like he is a writer who could tell you right at the beginning, this is how it ends. I'm telling you, because I know you'll still finish the book. And you'll still enjoy it. He alluded so much to the fact that their son, Gage, was going to be killed by the semi-truck. Pretty much right away, he did, and a little further on he did, and right before, he preluded it 3 months before it actually happened in the book. 3 months in story before it actually happened, he mentioned it again. And this was 4 or 5 pages before it actually happened. And you're like, so this is actually going to happen. And he had the balls to tell us what he was going to do. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that despite doing that, you still have the drive to read it. You still want to read about it happening. Like I said, there's not many writers that can do that. So I give him a lot of props for that. But as far as this book goes, I'll actually rate the movie. The movie of this, I would rate at around a 4 out of 5. This book, I'd probably say about a 3. I didn't hate it. It was okay. But I don't know. It just fell short to me. And, that is the smallest example of his storytelling that I have. Well, that's my girlfriend's book, but I have 10 books back there, and they're all longer than that. So we'll see. And I'll probably get to one next year. Like I said, I got this stack of books here that I got to read before the end of the year. Right now, though, before we go, the next episode is going to be me talking about a different book that I just finished reading, Kronos Rising Volume 2. That one I will not spoil, even though probably most people watching this don't know what it is. I won't spoil it because if you want to read it, it's still new, so, that way it's not a spoil. I have it already bookmarked for the next book, but if you see, this is what I have left to read for this part. And then it goes to book 5, and I already have this bookmarked for book 6, which would be the start of, or actually book 6 would be the final book. It would be the second half of The Return of the King. And as you already know, I'm also reading this. That's as far as I've gotten in it. So I've been focusing on the Lord of the Rings for the most part while I'm on vacation this week. I know I've been talking a lot at you. And I can't wait to actually share this on beer pages on Facebook, which, by the time you watch this video, should have already happened. And hopefully I'm getting comments from a bunch of people saying, hey, let's talk about this. And, it doesn't have to be like I've mentioned in other videos. It doesn't have to be me talking to you. Like, anything I say, you can certainly respond to. You can tell me your opinion on the matter. I want a discussion. I want it to feel more like having a beer with a buddy. Granted, half the time when I'm out with my buddy, the one that I usually go out drinking with, we're kind of silent half of the time. The other half of the time we do a little bit of talking, and it's mostly me talking. But I do love to... I am someone who loves to sit there and just listen to somebody talk. I enjoy that. It helps me to learn who they are and how, and why they're the way they are and everything. But also, if I'm comfortable with you, it's hard to get me to shut the hell up. Anyways, we don't have much left here. This has been a really good beer. And despite what I said earlier, I'm going to give this about a 4.25. Or, despite the... I'm not going to tell you exactly. But I will definitely buy this again at some point. I won't be afraid to do that. Honestly, it might happen, it might not. But it is very much worth it. I do highly recommend Rupture, which I did not ever show you the can. Start from here and go all the way around. Thankfully, I don't have much left like this in the fridge. That sounds terrible to anybody who loves hoppy beers. I have their IPA in there, which I've had before, but it's been a very long time. From what I remember, excuse me. I loved their IPA. If I remember, I have another one that I've already reviewed, so it's just going to be one that I drink. That's about it for hoppy beers. Alright. Well, you got my rating. I highly recommend it. Until next time, Prost.